All right, and we're recording. So, Jeff, again, I just want to take the time and thank you for talking to my class of C sharp developers. Right now, they're learning .NET MVC, and they're getting ready to graduate. So I've got a class in front of me of some C sharp developers, and I think being able to ask someone who's in the industry, who's been in their shoes, can be really valuable to them. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure,
So
no problem.
I could introduce you, but I would not do as good of a job. So if let's just start with that. Would you mind introducing yourself and kind of, yeah, who are you?
For sure. So my name is Geoffrey Gibson. I go by Jeff. I attended Ranken the spring season of 2018, and I graduated the following year in May of 2019. If I had to give a little inspiration about where I got the idea of programming and software engineering in general, I started off in high school as in robotics. That really what pushed me forward into pursuing a career in development. And now I work for Daugherty Business Solutions. Right now, I'm a software engineering consultant right now for Express Scripts. Uh, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So you went to high school in St. Louis, and then right out of high school, pretty much you came to Rankin.
I did. I couldn't hit the fall year, but I made sure to follow up in spring. It was just too late registering, but I made sure to,
And
get
then
in where I fit in.
yeah, it seemed like were you on the accelerated track of some sort? Did you take 2 years, or you got through in like a year and a half?
Yeah, I got through in a year and a half. I did do summer courses just
Uh,
because I didn't see a reason why I should wait.
yeah,
I was kind of in that hustle mindset. So yeah, I did a full year of school, and then the following year, that next May, is
nice.
when I graduated.
Nice. Well, congrats on the finding a career. It sounds like you've been out for 4 years now. If you graduated in 19, and we just hit rolled over to 23, so maybe three. So what's it
Yeah,
like
no,
out there?
definitely.
What's your day to day like?
Day to day is coding, testing, everything of the sort. I'm not always coding. If I had to say how much of my time do I spend coding, it can vary anywhere between 20% of my day could be coding to about 70 to 80%. It really just depends on the need. I am working on a project right now that does require my full focus when it comes to coding. It is in .NET, but we are using other stacks, other technologies like Kafka, as well as MQTT, which is an Industry 4.0 standard solution for machine-based processes. Uh, so a lot of that, plus coding, plus research, you know, uh, is what I spend a lot of my time doing, as well as, I've done DevOps, CI/CD before, and I think that's something that every developer should familiarize themselves with. Also, the TDD mindset as well, test-driven development, because it really puts you in a state of thinking about your code, um, in the execution of it before you begin to write it, so you can. It's almost like blueprinting for code. So definitely, focus your, you know,
A lot of what you just listed there
yeah.
was not in the curriculum at Rankin. So talk about what's the learning curve been like for you?
Um, I'll just say this: imposter syndrome is a real feeling. Uh, Sometimes you'll observe your peers. Maybe they grasp on the concepts quicker, or they just know a bit more about your topic. But try not to think about that. You will feel like, what am I doing here? It's so difficult. How can I get this done? But I can honestly say, persevering through those emotions and those feelings and thinking with a I'll get this done mindset has really propelled me forward to the position that I'm in today.
Cool. Yeah, very cool. So Would you do me a favor? And so we use C sharp and we do a lot of
Hmm.
JavaScript. If I had to say there were two dominant languages that we are currently using at Rankin, those are the two dominant ones. Like, do you have
Hmm.
like one or two dominant languages that you've used in your career?
Uh, Not per se. Uh, Being in the consulting business, you can be placed anywhere that kind of suits your strengths. But personally, what I've seen a lot in the field is Java. And I feel like if you know Java, then you know C sharp, vice versa. Um, React, so JavaScript, Node.js backend, uh, those, and a lot of .NET. Um, Not a lot of MVC, but I have seen older stacks like legacy stuff. Um, you'll see some companies may have Visual Basic code still running. Can you believe it? So you'll see little gems like that out there, but
Okay.
primarily the big three,
Yeah.
C sharp, React, all that.
So you don't really have a dominant language because you've just been in and out of many different languages.
I have, and there's also a lot of flavors between those. So you have like your API stacks, that come with those languages, like Selenium. That's specifically integration testing stack, and it integrates with Java. So you'll do like some web page testing with that. You can also do SOAP UI, which is an API test integration tool. Uh, but yeah, so primarily, if I had to say beginning coding, the right path is C sharp, Java, JavaScript.
Okay.
Shout out.
Cool. Cool. So you kind of talked about why you chose the industry, and in high school you did some robotics. What
Mhm.
high school did you go to? Just out of curiosity.
I went to Confluence Preparatory Academy.
Okay. And that's not too far from Rankin.
That's downtown St. Louis.
That's downtown St. Louis. Yeah. And that's kind of why you got into the industry. Again, you've been out there for a few years now. Do you have any individual software projects? Like, you're probably not building self-driving cars, but do you have anything that kind of stands out as cool or fun that you worked on? Like, anything that stood out?
Uh, Particularly with work or personal stuff.
Either way.
Either way, I just recently got back into doing personal projects. Um, right now, I'm doing a React Native project. If you're not familiar with React Native, just a stack that supports iOS, Android, and also web development. So I've been really deep into React. I did do React for about a year or 6 months at Bayer, and I've been so far away from it that I wanted to hop back into it. So right now, I have a very basic uh, iOS application. I can probably demonstrate in a second here. It's nothing, out there, but I'm working on it, building on it, testing concepts, and
Yeah.
that's really what it is, my playground. As far as stuff that I've done in the past, which I really encourage, um, global hackathons is a really good thing to do. I've done a few of those at Rankin, Code for a Cause, and you can also do game jams and also other coding hackathon projects that they host on GitHub. I really recommend those just because it gets you in the mindset of thinking about solutions, in a different light. Part of the reason why I love coding so much is, you know, you can tell three developers go do this thing, and they'll all come out with three different ways to do that same thing.
Yeah.
So it'll get you in the mindset of thinking, reading code, which is I would say a lot of time, at past clients as well, like Anheuser Busch, I had to get used to reading code, and understanding the flow of that, and the purpose of it. So,
Cool.
but yeah, uh,
Very cool. Yeah. Um, what is your? You said your day to day can vary so much. 20% writing code. I guess what's a day like? I mean, are you working from home? Are you in the office? And what's a 9 to 5 like for you? Just kind of walk me through it.
uh, so I work from home about 98% of the time. there are very special scenarios where they do call us into the office. It may be like things like project implementation planning or big events like that. But my day to day typically, like I wake up, I go to stand up, report what I did the day before, what I'm going to do today, and possibly some other things that I may have found along the way. Um, and then I plan my day. So if I have to go talk to somebody or make connections, then I'll set aside time to do that. Um, the project that I'm working on now is a pretty important one. Right now, we're in our MVP2 phase, and we have 3 phases that we have to work on. So primarily, we have a lot of the code done for it. So we spend a lot of our time testing it in the environment. Like I said, specifically, we're using Kafka, OpenShift slash Kubernetes, uh, and also Industry 4.0. So there's a lot of different pieces to test with that. But we're almost through that, and then other, miscellaneous tasks. And it's not specifically miscellaneous. Like today, a lot of my research effort went into Docker containerization. You'll come to find out, a lot of companies do things very different ways, and they like to keep their system secure. So you have to find different ways to work around it. It's not as straightforward as if you were doing it on your own laptop. Totally different, and a lot of times that takes a lot of effort.
Cool. So you typically clock in at what time?
Well, we have flex hours, so it really depends. I can get up as early as 7, and then that would be to 3 or 4 because we have the option of doing 9-hour days and 4-hour Fridays. So we get off on 12 Fridays, which I love it. I find myself doing, sometimes I can do 10-hour days. If I'm really heavy into the code, I just get lost in it. So it can be 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, and then you add on the extra hour if you want to take the half Friday.
So one of the things I remember about your class is you guys had a really good camaraderie. You had some good friendships in there, I think.
Definitely.
So do you stay in touch with any of the old classmates, or have you kind of drifted ways a little bit, or?
Definitely. I still do catch up with some of my classmates. I just spoke to Thaddeus, I want to say about a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Ben, I know he's killing it. Like, you gotta talk to Ben too. Ben is killing it. Also Todd, but no one else outside of it. So it's been Todd, Ben, and Thaddeus.
Cool. Yeah, I just remember you guys had a good class. You had a good camaraderie. So, yeah. So when it comes to Ranken, and you went through in a year and a half, that's tough to do, and you made it. You were successful. So what advice would you give someone just kind of starting out? Maybe they're struggling. What did you do to be a successful student?
No matter how hard it gets, no matter how you may feel, and it's gonna sound cliche, but do not give up.
Yeah.
Do not give up. My first semester class, and this is not to speak down on my former classmates, but I saw a lot of them give up in my first semester to the point where my first semester class was about 27 students to about 12 or 13. Some of them had graduated because that was their last semester, but some just completely dropped from the course. And it's very unfortunate to see that because, in my life, I'm a success story. I'll tell you that. It has been a very lucrative, future and career that I've had. And if you have the drive and the passion to keep moving forward, you can do it.
Cool. Yeah, I like hearing that. Thank you. What did you do to land? Because the employer you're working for is pretty well known as the kind of the gold standard. A lot of students want to go work for Daugherty.
Yeah.
So what did you do? What did you do to kind of land that job?
Well, Daugherty specifically, their mentality is that anybody can be taught to code. No matter if you didn't have a background in it or if you or if you did. But your personality and your integrity about yourself, those cannot be taught, and those are qualities that Daugherty looks for. And so I would have to say, when I was first making those connections to Daugherty and my recruiter, I made sure that I was likable, and it was really that simple. Just make sure that you're a likable person. You know, if you're genuinely a good person, and people tend to gravitate toward you, and it doesn't even have to be that. Just be a good person. You know, because nobody wants to work around bad people. No one. You know, that can be very difficult to navigate. And I've seen personal stories in the field myself. So just be a good person. They'll teach you the skills. They have Daugherty University. I did that for 8 weeks. And they truly get you prepared for what you're going to see, and you'll be fine. Trust me.
Yeah, and you know, I've heard that before from the recruiters out of Daugherty. Is they've come to my class and they'll say, "Look, you're learning all these technical skills. That's not the main reason we hire somebody." And they will say the main reason we hire attitude, aptitude. Is there another A? Attitude, aptitude. Maybe there's another one, but that's basically like they're looking for the right people. Because like you said it in this interview, is like every company you're going to go to is going to have a different technology stack, and they're going to do things differently. So there's no way to know it all or learn it all. Certainly no one knows and can learn it all in school. So they're looking for the right people with the right mindset, the right personality traits. Yeah.
Yeah, and do not think that just because you do not know something, you're not prepared. I can count on my hands and feet how many situations I've been in where I can say I do not know what that is or how to use it or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of this is growing, right? If you stay stagnant, you probably won't last. But if you're into constantly growing and always moving forward, you know, learning is probably the biggest aspect to it. Then you'll be fine. You know?
So what? Again, you came here right after high school. You graduated. You were a young guy. You're still a young guy, and you know, but you've launched a successful career, right? You're in the early to mid stages, right? 3 to 4 years out there. So you're no longer junior, like you said. Your title is a engineer too. I mean, you're moving your way up the chain. What was your expectations around salary kind of coming out of Ranken? Or better yet, what advice would you give someone who's a fresh graduate and they're looking to get their foot in the door? Kind of what numbers should they be looking for out there, like realistically kind of thing?
Yeah. Realistically, 60,000 is a pretty good gem, a diamond in the haystack, I'll say. But you'll probably be expecting right around that 50,000 mark is what I see.
Probably more average is maybe more around that 50 mark.
Yeah. 50 to 55,000. I mean, with the inflation now, it'll probably be a bit higher than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, right around that mark is where you'll kind of start out at, which is not bad at all.
No.
What I've come to learn is that a lot of people tend to switch around the year and 7 months mark. At that point, you should have enough experience to kind of move around and potentially get a higher pay. So you don't have to sit around at one place and, you know, they're not promoting me or they're not raising me to what I want, because you can move around. And my LinkedIn messages, man.
It's a different story, right?
Yeah.
Like fresh graduate Jeff looking for his first job, the LinkedIn's kind of like a ghost town. But then you get 3 years experience, and I bet you it's just blown up.
Yeah, it's like white on rice, man. I mean, I get at least 4 to 5 messages per day on LinkedIn about job opportunities. Like, this is no joke. I could show you right now, scroll through. Some I haven't even opened, but some, if I'm being honest, offering 120.
Well,
just for my skills.
I feel privileged because you answered my LinkedIn request today. So you
Yeah.
didn't ignore me, so I appreciate that.
And you know what? To be honest, I had William Smith. He goes up there a lot. I know you talked with him. He's told me, and I've been meaning to message you actually, so I could, reach out, see how Rankin is doing. It holds a very special place in my heart and my career because I feel like I wouldn't have got the level of education had I gone somewhere else. I have looked into other programs, like UMSL, you know, the 2 years of general classes and 2 years of your actual career. Whereas Rankin, I'm hands on day one, and
Yeah,
that's what you want.
yeah,
That's what counts.
yeah. Well, if Rankin is dear to your heart, we are hiring for a teacher position. Why don't you come on back? We can't pay you what you'd like to make. You're gonna have to take a pay cut, but we could work together. You could,
Yeah.
did I sell you? No.
Nah, not
No.
yet,
Okay.
not
All
yet.
right. All right. Well, if you
I,
change your
I,
mind, we are looking to. We do have an open position, but
I would happily do tutoring though,
okay.
if that's what's required. I
Okay.
do that now for Daugherty, actually. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called the Access Point Program.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I know
yeah,
Chris Marfia.
yeah, I'm a part of that. So
Isn't Chris one of the
yeah,
teachers
Chris is one
there?
of the leagues. Yep.
Yep.
Also Jason Vincent, and a few other people. I don't know if you met Jason, but he's the head coordinator of Access Point.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Last question. Do you see yourself in this career indefinitely, or do you see yourself maybe in 20, 10 years, something down the road, changing
Hmm.
industries, changing careers?
Uh, Not at all. Not at all. I always want to stay close to the code. That's my career path. I know I do hear stories of people, wanting to get into more people management, but with IT, that's not me. I want to be IT all day. Uh, my actual career path is to be a software architect, which is, architect and applications deciding the direction of them. And that's a role that I want to play.
Okay.
As far as career shifts, though, I have thought about um, NASA, and that does require like a level of mechanical engineering with it, but it's also code. So
You said
I've thought about it.
NASA?
Yeah,
You want to
yeah,
work for NASA?
yeah. I wanna,
Would you have
I
to
wanna
get
build.
another like you said, engineering degree or something?
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
is what it comes down to. I have to get my bachelor's in computer science because I have my associate's from Ranken. And then minor in some level of mechanical engineering.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay. Well, man, I'm happy for you. Congratulations. Congrats on the family. Congrats on the career. I'm just happy for you, man. I'm happy to see a success story out of Rankin, and it's good to touch base.
yeah, for sure.
Any last questions from the class? They we've been doing these interviews, so sometimes.
Hi, my name is Josh. Yeah, I'll just come over and
Yeah,
say.
come on over.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, come over. Hey, how you doing,
So
brother?
I'm talking to a recruiter from Daugherty now, and he said like the Daugherty University can be kind of like a competitive program. So, do you know like when you were in there, like what percentage of people they let through when you did that?
Oh, we
It
lost.
it really it really depends what you want to do. I know specifically that Doherty, since the software engineering consultants are primarily what we send out every day, that holds a majority of our firm. You'll see a lot more SA&E consultants get through. From my experience, I had a class of 27. Well, not a class of, but a participation of 27 people, and then only 8 of us got through. I know we've been doing a lot of hiring, like way more hiring since then. So you might have way more success as far as like that number range. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing is the coding assessments as well as the technical interviews, and then also like your personality interview. I forget exactly what they call it. But I would definitely practice with those. If you can do practice with yourselves in the class, you know, um, be ready to explain uh, how you got to a solution, um, the different ways that it can be done. Just show, a level of thought behind whatever you do and say. That'll make your chances better. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, one more.
Technical coding questions, like what do they entail? Like how in depth are they?
Yeah, can you give an example? Of these technical coding questions, like what they were like, and how technical were they? How in depth?
So they covered fairly simple coding concepts, but they were in the frame of like a word problem that you would get in a math question. Um, if you know what you're looking for, we specifically had to do Node.js or just JavaScript. Um, but one of them was the pretty popular. Uh, what is it? It's the one where you modularize the I, so you get fig and then bar and then fig bar and then it kind of loops through like that.
Yeah,
Um,
Fizzbuzz.
yeah, Fizzbuzz. Um, there was another one where we had to do multi-dimensional arrays and how to put values out of those. So basically, an array that's within an array and how to pull a value or give a range for that. Um, so I know primarily of whatever Doherty sets as their test as far as DU goes, it's always going to be closest to what they hired the most for. So I would, if you have a recruiter that you're talking to, maybe you should talk to them about, what are some of Doherty's strong suits? Like what are we doing the most of? I can tell you, C Sharp, .NET development is pretty big in our sector. Um, so you guys are good there. Java.
Did you
like
have
I
that
said.
in your curriculum? Did you have ASP.NET or I don't remember.
Uh, uh, no, it was primarily MVC. But the skills are transferable.
Okay.
As long as you know what a class is and how to create an object and things like that, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then one other question: did they did you guys go over concepts like beforehand, before the technical interviews, like in the Doherty University, or was that like kind of like right off the bat? You have to answer these questions to get past the first stage.
Um, so the technical interview part, we didn't have a chance to review much. I would say we had a great situation back when I was at Ranken because we had one fellow alumni who was already there, and he was pretty close to the people who kind of ran the test. So he gave us some pointers. Of course, he didn't tell us everything, but he gave us some pointers on what to look for, the language stack, and all of that stuff. So you won't have a chance to go through that. As far as the setup of the day, you'll come in that early morning. You'll do a coding assessment. You can talk. They'll tell you that you can talk. You can help each other out. They do encourage that, but take that very lightly because a lot of people got removed from because they practically share code. You never want to do that. They'll ever copy and paste someone else's code. Never. And just be prepared to come in, do stuff in a different way, like the FizzBuzz, for example. It's pretty much a standard way that you could write a FizzBuzz program out. But how else could you do it? Can you split it into a different method? Can you turn it into an object? Think about different ways to do that and be ready to explain those ways because in the technical interview, they're going to take your coding assessment and they're going to directly ask you like, hey, we know she did this. Why did you do that? What was your thought pattern in there? And that's the part I want to say is that you want to have like your definitions, keywords. There is a definitions portion to it. So definitely take those very seriously in your course material definitions. I would say that helped me out a lot because it was very fresh in my mind as I was doing it. But I will also say, no cards to help with that would be fine.
Last call? you're ever in the area, please stop in, say hi. Don't be a stranger. And
I will.
And thank you for taking the time to do this today.
Definitely. I always do it. You guys can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Mr. G can provide that for you. Always reach out to me if you need any advice or help getting into Daugherty. I'll happily recommend you. And yeah, build your connections early. It helps out.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, man. Have a good one. Take care.
All right, see you.
All right.
Bye.